this ability to see the goodness in what was good in this guy. And did you know that his attacks on me became so silly between both of us? We just laughed when he's still trying. We just both laugh. He knew it was silly. I have a letter that he wrote me that's one of my treasured possessions. He wrote me a letter after 6 months of this. And he said, "You are the only human being I've ever known I couldn't break." He said, "I cannot tell you what you are the best team player. You're the best supporter I've ever known. You're one of the best marketers I know." He said, "I can't tell you." He said, "You don't know how hard this is for me to do." He told me this the next day. He said, "I've never wrote those words. I appreciate you and what you do." He said, "I couldn't even spell those words." I said, "I know you couldn't." I got that letter. That means a lot to me, church. You know what? It doesn't prove I'm anything. It proves up that what God tells us to do works. You do it God's way, you're going to get God's results. I'm going to tell you what happened. That man, he became my best friend. He couldn't go to the bathroom without me being with him. It's true. I would fly all over. He'd say, "You going to Orlando, Florida?" "I want to go with you." He loved to go into. He said, "I love you doing sales. I watched you doing sales calls." He said, "I never seen anybody do sales calls that way." Because I'd walk in, I'd meet somebody for the first time. "How are you doing? What's your worst headache today? Can I help you get rid of it?" That's the way I approach my clients. I'm here to serve you. Whatever your worst problem is, I want to know what it is. That's what I want to solve today. He said, "I'd never do that." He said, "It'd scare me to death." Walk in there and I'd say something like that. You know what people will do? As soon as they're over the shock of that, they start telling you their problems. Did you know that most of my clients, I knew more about their personal lives as I did about their business life? You know what? They recognize me. I can trust this guy. He's serious. I can tell him. And this is what happened between me and the Antichrist. I'm not going to tell you his name because I don't want to embarrass him. And he learned to trust me, and we became a team. Some of the most incredible contracts that company ever got were because of the team that we produced. Multi-million-dollar defense. Do you know? Have you heard of the cruise missile? We engineered and built it. We got that he and I together. And I used to tell you, one of the first contracts I ever got after I went to work there, I did all the work, did it because it was all my contacts, went in and showed him, presented it to him. We're ready to sign the contract. He goes into the management meeting of the president and takes credit for the whole thing. He did. Didn't even blink an eye, didn't even look at me to see how I was taking it. Just stood up there and lied to him, told him he did I went to Harlingen, I did this, I did that. I told him later, I said, "You're one of the boldest liars I've ever seen." Let me tell you what happened. We ended up months later in a hotel room in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Two queen-size beds at a hotel room. Him sitting on one, me sitting on the other, and me sharing the gospel with him. I had him this close to being saved. That close. You know what I'd love to report to you? He was born again. He's still lost, as far as I know. But I tell you what, I did everything God told me to do to try to bring. You know what he knew? Whether he ever received Jesus or not, he knew I loved him. He knew I cared. Let me tell you what happened a couple of months after that event in that hotel. He comes storming into my office one day. He says, "Let me tell you something. I don't know how you did it. I don't know who you talked to. I don't know what you did. My wife went to a Bible study in North Dallas and got saved, and you did it." I fell over laughing. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe it. God saved his wife. I told him, I said, "You can just give up today, or you can just keep going on and let the rough end drag, bud. Let me tell you something. Your life's fixing to be miserable. That woman's born again. You're gonna think you got a hold of a tiger." He said, "One thing I do know is Christians. I've been living with you guys for long now." He said, "I'm sick of it." I said, "Now he loved his wife. That much I knew. She was a wonderful woman. Anybody's wonderful to live with that knucklehead." But I told him, I said, "Let me tell you something. Don't you make fun of her, and don't you make jokes. Let me tell you, it's serious to her. She was born again. It's changed her forever. You better take it serious." See, I'd won a place in his life I could talk to him like that. Anybody else in that company talk to him like that, he'd fire him on the spot. So I thought, wow, it's getting closer. So here's what happened. The president of the company had hired a new assistant, the Antichrist's sister. You think I'm this and this? Hollywood could not write this script. I've got witnesses to this, folks. I'm not exaggerating about this. This woman was evil, personified. I thought, dear God, where does this man find these people? You know what she did? She picked out her rival immediately. Her intention coming into that company was, I'm going to rule this place. She had fooled the president. I told him that. I said, she deceived you. Well, she decides that the Antichrist is her target. She's got to take him out. You know what she did? And she's good at it. She built a case against him over a period of time, had a file, and was proving to the president that he was going to start his own company and stealing the assets of this company. Can I just tell you it wasn't true? I lived with him. I flew all over the country with him. Wasn't true. So, now understand, I didn't know anything about this till after the fact. So I'm sitting at my desk one day. The president of the company comes right on through, comes over to my desk. He said, don't go anywhere. I want to go to lunch with you. Walks into his office. Just to tell you something about this guy. His office was an octagon in the middle of the room up on a platform. Had a staff of 80-something people all around him. He could look out any window and see us. And the president walks in there and fires him on the spot. Has security come, they pack his stuff out, and they escort him out of the building. I thought, what in the world is going on? The president comes by and says, let's go. Takes me to lunch, takes me to the Holiday Inn buffet. It's a lousy place to eat. Sat down at the table, and he says, calls his name, so I fired this guy. And tells me why. Tells me about Betty's campaign, and I'm sitting there listening to this, and he's going on and on about it, and the Holy Spirit inside of me says, don't you blow this now. Do you understand? I knew what he was doing. He's fixing to offer me his job. And I could just sit there and not say anything. You think you had some tests? And the Holy Spirit's saying to me, don't you blow this now, big boy. You've walked this out honestly till now. I mean, this is what's going on inside my conscience and the Holy Ghost at the same time. And he finally finished, and I looked at him and I said, let me tell you something. I live with this man every day. Every bit of what you just told me is a lie. It is not true. He didn't do anything of the sort. As a matter of fact, most of the wealth that's been created in this company in the time I've been here is due to his management skills. Whoa. It kind of sat back in his chair. This was the time I knew I could not work for this man over a period of time. You know what he said to me? I don't care. I've already done it. You want his job or not? I thought, man, I'm in the devil's territory. So anyway, I had to go, and I told him, I said, look, I got to go think about this. I got to pray. I knew. I had to hear from God. This is one of those places you got to hear from God. And so anyway, I'm trying to finish this when the time's up and give you guys a little break. I ended up deciding to take the position. He wasn't going to go back. Now, remember what I told you. Hindsight, this is what promoted me to the place where God gave me my own company. Remember the prophecy? Struggle, strive, and strain, won't have to go into debt. Literally, 3 months after that event, a man who was an elder in our church, wealthy businessman, had owned a company like ours, had shut it down because his management was terrible. He was one of my competitors, and we basically put him out of business. He became an elder in our church. Greg was his pastor. And he calls me, and he knew my reputation. I didn't know who he was because he was already in the publishing and printing business. He wasn't really in our business, so I didn't know him. He said to me, I want to meet with you. He meets with me, and he says, I've got the shell of this company. It's been shut down. There's nothing there except the structure. He said, I know your reputation. I know your character. I'll put up X number of dollars. You come and revive the company, and I'll give you half of it. He said, when the money's gone, it's gone. He said, if you can make it a success before the money's gone, You and I are in business. That's how Global was born. And I'm telling you, if I hadn't passed those tests, he would have never been moved to come talk to me. You'd have never heard of me. Guys, that's God. So I don't care what you're facing today. It doesn't matter. Look, you can come and impress me with it if you want to. I'll listen to you. But don't tell me God won't come through. Don't tell me God won't be faithful to his word to you. Because he's never failed me and he's never failed you. Let's take a break. It's 5 minutes till 2. Can y'all come back in about 5 to 7 minutes? Is that okay? I'm sorry I went over. God bless you.